Aurochs to Angus, the long road to domestication. Across the vast plains of ancient Eurasia, a formidable creature roamed, the aurochs. Larger and wilder than their modern descendants, aurochs were a force to be reckoned with. Yet, over 10,000 years ago, humans embarked on a remarkable journey, the domestication of these imposing beasts. The process was gradual, driven by the promise of a stable food supply and a versatile source of labor. Early farmers in the Fertile Crescent recognized the potential of these animals. Aurochs provided not just meat, but also milk, hides and dung for fuel. Their strength could be harnessed for plowing fields, revolutionizing agriculture. Over generations, selective breeding transformed the wild aurochs into the more docile, manageable animals we recognize as cattle today. The domestication of cattle marked a turning point in human history. It spurred the development of settled agriculture and the rise of civilizations. The journey from aurochs to Angus is a testament to human ingenuity and our complex relationship with the natural world. It is a relationship we continue to grapple with today as we face the consequences of our choices on a global scale. Sacred beasts, cattle in the ancient world. Cattle, once wild and untamed, became deeply intertwined with the cultural and religious fabric of ancient civilizations. From the Indus Valley to Egypt, these animals were more than just livestock. They were revered symbols of prosperity, fertility, and divine power. In ancient India, cows were associated with the mother goddess, symbolizing nourishment and abundance. The sanctity of cows in Hinduism, which persists to this day, exemplifies the profound respect these animals commanded. In ancient Egypt, bulls were associated with several deities, including Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, god of the underworld. Their image adorned temples and tombs, signifying strength, virility, and resurrection. Religious beliefs surrounding cattle often influenced societal norms. In many cultures, cattle were considered valuable assets, their slaughter strictly regulated or even forbidden. This reverence reflects the crucial role cattle played in the lives and livelihoods of ancient peoples. They were not merely commodities, but companions on a shared journey. A revolution in the fields, agriculture's impact on cattle. The agricultural revolution, a period of dramatic transformation in farming practices, brought significant changes to the lives of cattle. Innovations like the wheeled plough, powered by oxen, increased agricultural productivity dramatically. This led to a surge in human population and consequently a growing demand for meat, milk, and other cattle products. While initially benefiting from improved farming techniques, cattle faced new pressures. Selective breeding intensified, focusing on traits that maximized milk production or meat yield. This led to the emergence of specialized breeds, each tailored to specific agricultural purposes. The once diverse genetic pool of cattle began to narrow, with certain traits favored over others. The intensification of agriculture marked a shift in the human-cattle relationship. Cattle, once revered figures in religious contexts, were increasingly viewed through an economic lens. Their value lay primarily in their productivity, driving farmers to maximize output, often at the expense of animal welfare. This trend would continue into the 20th century, culminating in the rise of industrial animal agriculture. From farm to factory, the rise of industrial cattle farming. The 20th century witnessed a seismic shift in cattle farming with the advent of industrial agriculture. Driven by a desire for efficiency and profit maximization, this new model prioritized high-volume production over animal welfare and environmental sustainability. Cattle once raised on open pastures were increasingly confined to crowded feedlots. These factory farms, designed for maximum output, treated animals less as living beings and more as units of production. Cattle were subjected to cramped conditions, often standing ankle-deep in their own waste. Their diets, once consisting primarily of grass, were replaced with grain-based feeds designed to accelerate growth but leading to health issues. The industrialization of cattle farming brought with it a host of unintended consequences. The widespread use of antibiotics to prevent disease in crowded feedlots contributed to the rise of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, a growing threat to human health. The environmental impact of these massive operations, from methane emissions to water pollution, became increasingly difficult to ignore. Section 5. The hidden costs of beef. Environmental impacts of factory farming. The environmental consequences of industrial cattle farming are far-reaching and profound. Cattle, particularly those raised in confined feeding operations, are significant contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. Their digestive process releases methane, a potent greenhouse gas far more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide. Furthermore, the vast amount of manure generated in feedlots contaminates water sources, polluting rivers and aquifers. The production of feed crops, often genetically modified soybeans and corn, requires massive amounts of water, pesticides and fertilizers, further degrading soil and water resources. The deforestation associated with cattle ranching, particularly in the Amazon rainforest, exacerbates climate change by releasing stored carbon into the atmosphere. The land cleared for grazing often degrades quickly, leading to desertification and loss of biodiversity. The environmental costs of industrial cattle farming are not borne by the industry alone, but by the planet as a whole. Section 6. Ethical concerns. The moral case against factory farming. Beyond the environmental impact, factory farming raises serious ethical concerns about our treatment of animals. The cramped, unsanitary conditions in feedlots deprive animals of their natural behaviors, causing immense stress and suffering. Cattle are social animals that thrive in herds, yet in these industrial settings they are treated as mere commodities. The routine use of antibiotics, hormones, and other medications raises further ethical questions. While intended to prevent disease and promote growth, these practices can have detrimental effects on animal health in the long run. The dehorning and castration of cattle, often performed without anesthesia, inflict pain and suffering for the sake of efficiency. Many argue that confining sentient beings to a life of misery and deprivation simply to satisfy our appetite for cheap meat is morally indefensible. The ethical implications of factory farming force us to confront our relationship with animals and question the true cost of our food choices. Section 7. Greener pastures, exploring humane and sustainable alternatives. As awareness of the environmental and ethical concerns surrounding industrial cattle farming grows, so too does the search for alternatives. Humane and sustainable farming practices offer a way to produce meat and dairy products, while minimizing harm to animals and the planet. Grass-fed and pasture-raised cattle operations allow animals to graze freely, promoting their natural behaviors and reducing the need for antibiotics. Rotational grazing practices can help regenerate grasslands, sequestering carbon in the soil and improving soil health. Smaller-scale, diversified farms that integrate livestock and crop production can create more closed-loop systems, reducing waste and promoting biodiversity. Supporting local farmers and ranchers who prioritize animal welfare and environmental stewardship through our purchasing decisions can contribute to a more sustainable food system. Section 8. Beyond the burger innovations in meat production. Beyond reforming traditional animal agriculture, innovative technologies offer promising alternatives to conventional meat production. Plant-based meat substitutes made from proteins derived from plants like peas, soy, or mushrooms have rapidly gained popularity. These products mimic the taste and texture of meat, appealing to those seeking to reduce their meat consumption. Another groundbreaking development is the emergence of cultured meat, also known as lab-grown meat. This technology involves growing animal cells in a laboratory setting, eliminating the need to raise and slaughter animals entirely. While still in its early stages, cultured meat has the potential to revolutionize meat production, reducing its environmental impact and addressing ethical concerns. These innovations demonstrate that we are not limited to the unsustainable practices of the past. As technology advances, we can expect to see even more creative and sustainable solutions to meet our dietary needs while minimizing our impact on the planet. Section 9. Our choice, their future, rethinking our relationship with cattle. The journey of cows, from wild aurochs roaming the plains to the billions of cattle confined in factory farms today, is a stark reminder of our power over the natural world. Our choices as consumers have shaped the trajectory of cattle farming and will continue to do so in the future. By understanding the environmental and ethical costs of industrial animal agriculture, we can make more informed decisions about the food we consume. We have the power to support farmers and producers who prioritize animal welfare and environmental sustainability. We can explore plant-based alternatives and embrace innovations in meat production. Each meal is an opportunity to vote with our forks, shaping a future where our relationship with cattle is one of respect, not exploitation. It is a future where our food choices nourish not only our bodies, but also the planet we share.